Honorable Sergius Ogun. He is the Deputy Chairman, House Committee on FCT, and he is also representing Esan North and South Federal constituency, talking about Edo State. Good morning and thanks for finding our time to be here today.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
All right. Now let's start very quickly. A couple of weeks ago, spanning into a month, I think, if I'm not mistaken, you lost one of your illustrious son, to the cold hands of death, talking about Tony Anene. And I know that the burial arrangement is coming up, I think in the first week of December or thereabout. Now, what are the plans that are on ground? I know that he has a lot of political sons and all that.
Yeah, it happens to. It turns out that I'm one of them.
Wow.
On the 27th, which is Tuesday next week, will be the Requiem Mass here. Okay. Is it Requiem Mass now, or that's Service of Songs? Okay. Ecumenical Center in Abuja here. That will be on the 27th. Then on the 30th in Benin will be Line Estate in the University Stadium. That's in Uniben, Bowo. And then thereafter we'll proceed to Uromi, his place of birth, for the burial and the reception. And then the 2nd of December will be the Mass in Sunday outing service. Yeah, so it's the whole of next week is taken. Yeah.
So what have you learned so far? Because when he passed on, we saw a lot of politicians coming out to eulogize him, say some good things about him and all that. You, as a political son, what have you learned from Tony Anene?
He's a book that you cannot read in one day. He's somebody that came from such a humble background. Stories are told about how in his early days he served the family or so, and he will walk kilometers to go fetch water very early in the morning, carry water on his head, kilometers, to go to the home of those he walked with, and yet having come from such a humble background, he's one of the most generous people I've ever seen. He was so hardworking to the extent that if you call, I said this on the floor of the house, if you call him 2 a.m., he will pick your call concerning an issue. And if he says, if you go in the morning to check on him, if you go by 6 a.m. with the plan that, okay, let me just wait for him to wake up, he will be awake, fully dressed, leg crossed, waiting for you. And if you go and check, he has already walked around the estate for his early morning exercise. And that's why for so long, many people were calling him that he's a spirit, he's not a human being. So that's how. And also, like I said, he was so mentally alert till he passed. You could come to him with any topic, any subject. If you are talking now, discussing with chief, and you're pointing out figures, you will be looking for a calculator or a phone to crunch your figures. He would just be reading them out from his head. So, and he was such a caring person. You could never go to him with a problem and not get solutions. And he's not like, okay, let's think about it. No. He will just tell you there, okay, is this the case? You pick his call, take his phone, and put your call through. And it's solved. So maybe that's where he got the nickname Mr. Fix-It. You could never go there with a problem and walk away and not have a solution. He's always involved. And not just from our tribe, all over the country. I know of a lady, I don't want to see too many things now, is a senator now. If I go too far, people will know the one I'm talking about, who was not in the same party with Chief for a long time, but because he knew her from the parents and all, he kept saying, look, I'm going to make you this, So she was only running away. I'm going to make you a governor of your state. She was the one running away at the end of the day, because for everything Chief said, he did. To the point that the latter part of what she promised, she was running away because she wasn't sure she could do it. That was the kind of person he was. And, like I said, I don't think God still creates people like that these days. That's the truth.
Now, with all you've reeled out so far, one will be tempted to ask that with all of these powers, with all of this prowess, with all of this, strength that Chief Tony Anene gathered, the late Tony Anene gathered, he was still unable to deliver his state for his party. What will you say were his constraints?
I would not say he was unable to deliver the state. So many things led to the AC then taking the state. It was rumored that he had a hand in Oshomole emerging. I don't know how true that is, because of course, I'm sure you were aware there were internal squabble between. He had issues. There were issues between him and the governor. You know, then Professor Osubo, and then at that point, really, this man was a political son to him, Comrade Shomole. I actually was on the flight with the comrade before he took over, and I said to him, "Why don't you go and talk to Chief?" And he said to me, "I have been speaking to Chief. Chief is actually my father." He gave instances when he was the Labour leader and Basanjo was the president, and when they have issues, then, you know, and then he will call, he was trying to call any minister, nobody will pick unless Chief. You know, he would tell Chief would say, "Look, you are my son, I can't disown you." And he would take him to Obasanjo, he would advise Obasanjo on how to manage fear problems, so look, go this way, go. The comrade told me this with his own mouth on an Arik flight from Abuja to Benin. You know? So he said to me, when he approached Chief to say he wanted to run, Chief said to him, "Look, I want to retire, so I want this thing to go to my ethnic, to my tribe." You know, that he didn't have it against Chief. You know? So I'm sure they were talking till he emerged. And you know how it is with power. You don't give out power. You know, when people take power, and very ambitious people, they do anything to keep it. Even the second term of the second term election of the governor, then comrade, well, there were insinuations that the then president, Jonathan, worked against us in Edo State, his party, because maybe he got some assurance from the then governor that, "Look, I will work for your second term." Well, that's what's under the bridge now. But so, Edo State tomorrow is a PDP state. But there has been a lot of intrigue, and that's why we have ended up where we have ended up. Because even the last election, most people will tell you, observers will tell you, even the security agents, they know that we won that election. It was rigged. But well, let's leave that to God. He's the one that sees everything, and at the right time, the truth will come out.
Is there a way out of this very serious quagmire in Edo State?
There are really no issues. I am sure if there's a free and fair election any day in Edo State, PDP will win. But maybe the right things just need to come into place, and then it will happen.
Now, how will you rate the current governor? Is he? Will you say he's doing very well, or there are areas where he's not performing?
Well, without being political about this, I think I like him. He's just like myself. He came from the private sector, and I want to believe he means well for the state. I've seen he's organized a lot of programs, and I've seen him bring in investors, which is the same way I would play it if I was a governor. Because the problem I think the federal government is making today is, I don't think Nigeria is I know that Nigeria is not a very friendly place to do business. Haven't been in business before coming to the house. And you can only encourage investors by putting certain things in place. And when I see certain things like security and all, now investors come in here, whoever is bringing them in, whether it's government or private individuals, you are getting security men, those things make them nervous. That's the truth, that you are having policemen all around guiding them and all, it makes them nervous. So, but then, how are they coming to do business here if they have to have security men all around them all the time, with guns? Most people from the Western world do not appreciate that. So, I would think if you can provide the enabling environment for business to thrive, investors will naturally come in, and they will be the ones that will bring in money, that will employ people. And I think that is what the present governor is doing, and I appreciate him for that. It will not yield result overnight. It will take a while. Yeah. But as long as he doesn't get into the politics of his predecessor, pitching people against one another, I think he will do well.
Okay, let's move into politics before we move into legislative business. Just a few days ago, the campaign ban for presidential aspirants was lifted, and now we have next level. We also have Let's Make Nigeria Work Again. Now I know you must have taken a glance all through all of this. Now are you happy with what you saw with the next level movement? are you contented with what you saw with the Let's Make Nigeria Work Again? Because in the next level, we're also told that even the logo was plagiarized, and that's an intellectual property, and those concerned are already threatening, to drag those who are involved in plagiarizing their work to court. Now, are these also part of the political intrigues that we're about to see in 2019?
Oh, well, I just think well, this is not breaking news. I think we are working on a bill right now, which I think will come for first reading any time. We want to amend the constitution to go parliamentary instead of this presidential. I have actually been working on that for the last 2 years. And I'm told that we're going to be amending about 150 items in the constitution to achieve this. I said this because the present government, okay, the point where I'm going to really is, if we had the present president of the country in the parliamentary system, and he's sitting across the way you and I are sitting right now, and then the head of the opposition over here, most of the things that are happening today will not be happening. This issue of whether the man there is actually the president or is an impostor will not happen. We will also know his capacity and abilities. It will be glaring, So, but that's not happening today. So we hear the president said this. The spokespeople are speaking. Then he goes to certain places. Went to Benue, he didn't know his IG did not go there after telling him to go there. Went to Kaduna, 70-something people died, he didn't hear. So what does he hear? But in a parliamentary system, that will not happen. Because the same day the thing is happening, or if it happened the day before, you appear in the parliament and this thing is being discussed. You have to have enough information to debate it. So I'm saying this because whatever they put out there was the job of consultants, the next level. And yeah, the people around him maybe are just lazy. This is not the first time. The last time they came up with something about the change begins with you, again, it was a stolen property, Same thing with this one. So you have outsourced such a project, which is natural. But if the people around him are not lazy people, they could have easily double-checked on what the consultants have brought.
Presented. Yeah.
So what about the man himself? Today I have a team that work with me. They give me an item, I discuss it with them. If I'm not comfortable where they are going to, most times I go on the internet myself and I Google. So those are the kind of leaders, that's the kind of leader we want today. That's not the kind of leader we have today. So what are we expecting really? I wasn't expecting anything much.
So you are not surprised when you heard all of that?
No, I wasn't because
wow,
he doesn't put anything together. And like I said, the people around him are just too lazy to research anything.
But in his speech, he said, we have worked hard to fulfill our promises, to Nigerians. So I would ask you, you are in the parliament, either you like it or not, you are also one part of, an arm of the government. So will you also subscribe to the fact that, this is coming from, the president, that we have worked hard to fulfill our promises?
But I'll throw this back at you. You are a Nigerian. Are you, like they asked, the article people asked, are you better off today than 4 years ago? That's the question Nigerians should answer. So if you have said you have worked hard to end the second term or to end the confidence of Nigerians, it's for the Nigerians that you are telling to say, really, am I better off? And that's how we keep advocating for free, fair, and credible elections. You should come out and tell the people what you're going to do for them. They came some 4 years ago to say, we are bringing about change in Nigeria. People wanted the change, which was a good thing. You have come. Now I heard that Fashola is saying that they didn't promise change in 4 years. All well and good. But the beginning of this journey should clearly let us know where you're going to end up. So 4 years down the road, we don't think you have started well. But we are going to the polls again. If there's free and fair election, the people should be able to choose. How are your steps? Are these steps that will take us to El Dorado? Are these steps that will take us to a good place? If they don't think so, then they will choose on the ballot. But when it's being manipulated, when it's being rigged, you are forcing yourself on the people. And that is very dangerous. So whatever you are telling us today, if you have done well, let the people decide with their ballot, with their PVC. They should decide. So they say they have done well. Yeah, maybe that's in their heads. But let the people decide.
Yeah, maybe he's talking about the fact that, you know, in his comments he said they've liberated 17 local governments from the hands of, you know, the insurgents. Maybe he's counting on that as part of his achievement. They
haven't even done that.
But that's what he said.
Yeah, it's for him to say it, but is it correct? They haven't. I'm a member of the Committee on IDPs, internally displaced persons. We were to go on an oversight to Maiduguri, to Borno. That was some 3 weeks ago. I think it was about the same time my leader passed, Chief Aneni. But I came into town to attend the meeting, and by the time I got there, they said the PCNI didn't come for the meeting. So, but we had to take a day. So by the time they took the date to go for the oversight, they didn't inform me. So, but the chairman went, when he was briefing us, he said clearly, there are still places where Boko Haram are in charge in this country today. This is not like what he told me. He said it on the floor of the House, and I can send a clip of that to you. He said it in the debate on the floor of the House. Now look, there are communities that even the army said don't even go there. And then that Boko Haram will come and raid the primary healthcare centers in Maiduguri, Yobe, and take drugs and everything away to the areas where they are administering. There are people living there. Boko Haram, they are in charge of those districts in Nigeria today. I'm saying this is not just an off-the-record discussion between myself and the chairman of the committee. He said it on the floor of the House. If you check with your cameramen in the House, they will give you a clip. But if they don't have it, I will send it to you. So what was anybody telling us that they liberated communities where you have Boko Haram? When I mean, cannot even go to certain areas in. I give you an example of Bama. I'm told the king of Bama is in Maiduguri. He cannot stay in his village. Because you have elements of Boko Haram operating there. He cannot stay there. That's just Bama. There are so many other local governments. So what have they liberated?